If you go around Abuja now, you see so many waste dams that have not been evacuated. It is not that the AEPB doesn't have the capacity, but the problem is funding. And also, it is not that the FCT administration is not doing or is not giving waste management adequate attention. It is the fact that there is always population explosion. And increase in population also means increase in waste.
If I put in 2 million naira in one village to collect waste, another 3 million naira in another community to collect waste, in just a week, you have been able to pump in 10 million naira in a week to remove waste. And then only after 2 hours, this waste is back. Then what about the following week? What about the subsequent weeks? Where will you have these resources?
And I also think the area councils should need to come up with bylaws on ways of actually, getting this waste from the various houses, and also enlightening the residents on the need for separation, the recycling, the biodegradable, and the brown waste.
In Nigeria, we waste our waste. So what we call waste is the starting material for another process. It is found out that 47% of the waste in Abuja here is biodegradable. Because it is biodegradable, it is a resource for generating 10 megawatts of electricity to FCT.
A lot of people don't know that waste, that trash, that thing that you trash, you collect bottled water and the rest of them, and you throw them away. You are throwing money away. And like I said, government can incentivize people that particular process by saying, bring these things, we will pay for it. And in that way, they can sell it to small-scale industries like our own here.
Waste is classified as unwanted or unusable material that has been disposed of or discarded after primary use. Humans generate a lot of waste in the course of their everyday life. The process of industrialization also produces waste in many forms, most of which cause serious environmental pollution and degradation. Waste can be classified into municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, biodegradable waste, e-waste, household hazardous waste, infectious waste, green waste, and more. Green waste is biological and composed of refuse from gardens or leaves from trees, while infectious waste harbor human pathogenic organisms and may cause diseases. Apart from marring the beauty of the neighborhood, improper waste disposal is harmful to the health. Waste, both toxic and hazardous, can cause serious pollution to the environment.
If and every one of us can manage one's waste properly, we will not see all these things. So it is good that once you have used something and the remaining is waste, let it be at the back of your mind that it is this waste that is with you that constitute what we call the nuisance that is being faced by major cities like Abuja. Even if government has no capacity to provide small waste bins all over, that it doesn't take anything for each individual house to have its own small waste bin. Our appeal is that it is not only government that is responsible for this. Let's all take responsibility because it depends on our health. And this waste management, both solid and liquid, determines the health of a place. So let us be part of the vanguard to ensure that we keep our environment clean, to ensure that we are healthy.
The process of industrialization and development has led to demand, improved standard of living, greater production, as well as greater consumption of goods and services. These in turn increases production of waste in all forms. While there are some obvious challenges towards running proper waste disposal system in Nigeria, what are the environmental and health consequences of improper waste disposal in the society.
Look at most of the diseases we talk about. They have a breeding ground. They have a breeding factory, and the waste that is improperly disposed, that is not handled very well, is their breeding ground. Talk about the shit. The flies takes the SHIT and puts it on your food, and you have cholera, you have all these sort of diseases, gastrointestinal diseases. These are the things that you have. You find that when your waste that you leave anyhow, the water that is in some containers, plastics and all the rest, they become breeding grounds for mosquitoes and you are sick.
Statistics show that Nigeria generates more than 32 million tons of solid waste annually, out of which only 20 to 30% is collected and properly disposed. Reckless disposal has led to blockage of sewers and drainage networks, which mostly end up contaminating small and large water bodies.
The day we learn to connect our actions with the consequences that results, people will change very quickly. When we drive the aspect of raising this awareness, of making people to see the connection between their actions and their consequences, because this is the age of consequences. You have consequences for whatever happens. Action and reaction are equal and opposite according to the third law of thermodynamics. That is what happens. So you've seen that environmental actions that you do or inactions that you carry out results in blocking of drains, and flood comes and you know what happens.
Residents in most parts of the country are guilty of littering the roads and the environment without any sense of civic duty and cleanliness. Experts say the government needs to develop and implement more waste collection strategies for proper disposal.
We have already signed an MOU between the area council and the AEPB so that they do the collections, right, on our behalf, while we are left with the suburb. And though in the suburb, which is, the communities are expanding on daily basis, okay, people surge into these villages to build and whatever. So we may not have the capacity, so financial capacity to collect waste in all these communities. Is this Gwagwa, Juakarmo axis? Is this the Lugbe, Galadima, Kuchugoro axis? Is it Nyanyakaro, Bagarapi axis? All these are within the suburb of Abuja Municipal Council. And if we are to look for fund to do these collections on daily basis, the area council cannot withstand that challenge.
Now, it is a misnomer for someone who is generating waste not to pay for the disposal of the waste. Okay? And because it has been part of societal norm where all sorts of waste, plastic, papers, biodegradable, brown waste, they're all mixed together. It has been the norm for a long time, but I think that could be changed. Now, it could be changed if, one, the various local government areas who are responsible for waste carry out what we call mapping, statistical mapping of the local council with regards to waste disposal and management, and do a rationing on waste collection payments. Once that is done, sensitization on waste separation, so that everyone knows that your waste should be separated because it's wealth. Now, if that drive is not taken into consideration, we'll continue to have the same problem.
Waste disposal is the collection, processing, and recycling of waste materials generated. However, what most people call waste is now classified as a starting material for another process which is a critical part of the climate change action. These can be realized with innovation and a political will to overcome these rapidly developing environmental hazards.
The waste sector is very critical. It's very critical because most of the waste that you see in many developed countries, they have overcome the challenges of this Ebola. And I bring my experience that I had in the United States when I was in Seattle in 1988. That city decided through policy to recycle 60% of their waste in 5 years. They succeeded in doing it in 3 years. And it is interesting to note that houses, places where waste are generated are incentivized, just like what Lagos State is trying to do now, which is commendable, that you pay as much as you dispose. So in order to pay less, you will need to recycle. So you have containers that you sort out papers, bottles, the rest of the things, plastics, organic, yard waste. When you remove that from your waste, you find that it's reduced.
Policy is there, the enforcement laws are there, but the implementation and the awareness is where we have the gap. So you can also drag in private practitioners, private investors into it. In Canada, in the US, when you take your waste to the recycling plant, they pay you a token for it. Okay? In Highland, you have dump sites where you can take your waste and you pay to dump your waste. Because if you leave your waste and it's not taken care of, you are fined. The regulators task you and fine you for that. So all these policies, we have them. But I think the implementation and the enforcement is where we have issues.
Of the more than 32 million tons of solid waste generated per year in Nigeria, plastic makes up more than 2 million tons. Solid waste disposal is the most pressing environmental challenge facing urban and rural areas in the country today, and as Nigeria's population continues to grow, more solid waste is expected to be generated. This calls for government and private business owners to develop waste processing facilities to take care of the problem.
If you follow Abuja master plan, it is envisaged by now Abuja should have about 2.5 million people. But now Abuja is having, even within the metropolitan area, Abuja is having over 7 million people. The problem of dumping waste in the drains is not only because AEPB is not covering that area, it is because some people deliberately do it. If you go around, even in those areas that we have our waste bins, not only people dump their waste into drains, but they also dump it outside the bins that we have supply them to put. So all these things contribute to what you are seeing. Both human angle and the government angle. The government angle, as I have told you, there are so many contending interests for the funds that is available to government. So government cannot take all its money, in as much as they believe that waste management is central to our health, but there is education, there is health, there is so many other things. So they have to balance the needs of the population.
Until we see it as business and have statistical data of the waste we generate, which is also very important. You need to have the statistics, the data of the waste you generate from each locations to be able to know how you can, what kind of investment or recycling plant is suited for each locations to be able to help the disposal and recycling process. If you don't have those, you also miss it. So it's an holistic thing. When you have statistics of data, you have the recycling plant where it's suitable and where it should be sited, and you have the various vendors who goes to pick the different types of waste and takes to the various locations, and that is the norm. So you don't actually see it as waste, because the papers are recycled and sent to the printing where you do tissue papers and all that, and it is recycled back into use. The plastic goes to where you also produce other byproducts, and it is to use. The biodegradable is used for manures in most of those farms. So you find out that actually there's no waste.
Waste management is among the core mandates of local government, state government, and federal government in Nigeria. At the state level, the state environmental protection agencies and state waste management agencies are in charge of municipal waste management. The amount of waste generated in Nigeria continues to increase at an alarming rate, and current efforts to dispose of waste in the FCT are not making visible impact.
If we are to only concentrate on collection of waste, then I'm assuring you that little or no service again will be done in other areas that require the service of this area council. Let me give you an example. We collect waste around Karo Cemetery. On daily basis, you see waste there. Okay? It is not as if the AMAC don't go to clear that place. But you clear it in the morning, say for instance 10 o'clock, and you are able to finish clearing between 10 to 12 or 1. Come back there again by 6. It is as if you have not done anything the last 2-3 hours. And do you know what? You put in about 3 to 4 million naira to collect that waste. And then only but after 3-4 hours, the waste is back. Can you continue to put in such resources on daily basis in the name of service? We would have been willing to do that, but we are short of fund. We now try to go into a contractual thing, right? And that is the area that we are also thinking that it may fetch us to deliver the service in that area that is expected of us. And when we are done, okay, we should be able to do the needful that people are expected to see as far as collection of waste is concerned.
Waste is not a problem in Nigeria alone. It has become a global challenge. The United Nations is calling for urgent action to decrease reliance on raw materials and increase recycling to reduce environmental pressure and impact. This follows statistics from the global material footprint, which grew from 73.2 billion metric tons in 2010 to 85.9 billion metric tons in 2017 by a 17.4% increase.
Looking at the new norm, which is called circular economy, everything can be reused, recycled back into the society, and is of value. So what you call waste is actually wealth to someone else. But medical waste, because of the hazard, they are burnt. They are taken to incinerators where they are burnt and destroyed. So you can't reuse that. But e-waste can be reused because you can get some mercury from most of those electronic materials.
Statistics of global electronic waste, like discarded smartphones, tablets, and other electronic devices, also grew by almost 40%. Nigerians are being urged to treat their environment with a better sense of responsibility, both in the disposal of degradable and non-degradable wastes.
We have in this at present building about 3 or 4 waste sorting stations. In those waste sorting stations, it is where we, if you come and dump waste, the biodegradable will be sorted to another place. The inorganic will be sorted to another place. It is much easier to dispose if these wastes are sorted out, because the organic ones, if it is only organic, you can use it for manure, fertilizer, and so on. If it is plastic, you can recycle it. Or if it is toxic waste like hospital waste, you can incinerate. All these things, there's a lot of information and academic knowledge on how to properly manage waste. But the problem, as I've always said, is the funds.
Efficient management of waste is an important factor in the developmental process of any nation and in the health of its people. Environment experts say waste as a valuable resource can be converted into a variety of useful products. This conversion is famously referred to as waste to wealth.
You can actually trade these things back. You bring it, we buy all those materials. So what we are saying is, instead of people, going around to beg and things like that, you have wealth all over the place. Just go collect this waste, those things that we refer to as waste. Collect them. There are collection centers. I think Abuja Environmental Protection Board has primary collection centers. You can actually take it there, they weigh it, and they give you the money. And it will come back to either the dump site in Gosa or areas like this where we actually make use of, these products that people refer to as waste.
Looking at the magnitude of waste generated in Nigeria on a daily basis, Environment advocates are calling on the government to create incentives for waste to wealth action in the country in order to get more citizens' participation.
That thing that you trash, you collect bottled water and the rest of them, and you throw them away. You are throwing money away. And like I said, government can incentivize people, that particular process, by saying, okay, bring these things, we will pay for it. And in that way, they can sell it to small-scale industries like our own here. You know, we can buy from government, or we can buy from dump sites in Goza. And because if you go to Goza, you see that you have pickers, because the people who actually do these things are scavengers. But we are saying we should elevate the thing. Don't leave it to scavengers. In your house, you are supposed to have various bags where you put your dumps. They are the ones that are called recyclable products. Those ones are the plastics and the rest of them, even paper.
Since plastic is non-biodegradable, recycling it is a major part of the global effort to reduce plastic in the waste stream, especially as it has been estimated that approximate 8 million metric tons of waste plastic enter the ocean every year. Plastic recycling includes melting them down in a process that forms them into pellets for further use.
We'll harvest the polythene bag, and you put them in that machine that is called a blinder. It goes into the machine and it is heated up, and you see the byproducts. Now that byproduct is now taken to a place where we wash, you know, the byproduct from the polythene bag, and we put it back into the other machine. Now again, it will go through another process of serious heat, and it's a whole line. It comes out, and it will pass through, you know, those things that you see like buckets. Now the idea is to cool the thing, because it's actually coming from real heat. It cools it, and then it goes into the cutter. It comes out in long strands, and then that cutter is what breaks it into the pallets that you see. Now those small pallets are the things that we sell to big industries, those ones that are actually plastic industries. They are the ones that make the slippers that we wear, the buckets that you see.
Recycling, which is an environmentally friendly option, has not been fully adopted in Nigeria. There are no formal recycling sectors in the country, and wastes are recycled informally by small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs usually buy materials from scavengers who go to legal and illegal dump sites in search of materials that can be reused and recycled.
If you have a crusher and you put your crusher in a dump site, I can assure you that you'll be making money from just crushing all these things that people bring. But again, like I said, government needs to incentivize this process. They need to encourage people to say, come, let's see what you can do. Waste management is big business. If only government can encourage people, encourage us, you know, give us big time, give us loans, you know, to increase what we're doing. We can employ more people.
Most of what is being discarded as useless and waste products can be put into economic use in recycling facilities. Recycling reduces the pressure caused by waste on the environment, as well as create opportunities for income and employment generation.
That awareness needs to go to the area councils, that from the waste, they can create jobs and generate monies. Buttons from shirts can be created from plastic. Buttons, t-shirt buttons. You can create it from plastic. All you need to do is the mold. You can create seats, back seat cover from plastic. All you need to do is the mold. You can create the seat itself is just a mold. You can create directional signs from plastic. A lot of things you can create from plastics. And the technology is so simple.